These days, windmills usually mean an electrical generator on top of a pole. And that makes sense if you want to generate electricity. But what if you want to use wind power to do other things as well, like pump water, or heat water, or cut, split, lift, sieve, grind, or pulp things? Then maybe it's worth looking at other windmill designs. Now there are these sorts of windmills, as you know, vertical axis windmills, and they would work for the job. The central spinning shaft could go all the way down to the ground, and you could add a cogwheel or two at the bottom and drive different machines with it. Couldn't you? Probably. But there are drawbacks with that design, and anyway, I just prefer these things. Traditional windmills already have a central rotating shaft that runs down to the ground, and you could put cogwheels on that and run different machines, and of course people have been doing exactly that for hundreds of years. They weren't just for pumping water or grinding corn, they were for any kind of machine that could be attached to them. Very clever engineers and designers worked their way around all the complications and challenges that you get with such an extraordinary machine. And they got them to work really well using limited materials and techniques, and many are still working hundreds of years later with no fuels or emissions or heavy metals involved at all. And often they are magnificent, aren't they? And very beautiful things too. Now, of course, I'd love one of those in my field, please. But I'd need full planning permission for that, apart from hundreds of thousands of euro and more years than I have to build it. So that's not going to happen. But here in Ireland, we are allowed to build some things without any planning permission. According to the Planning and Development Regulations 2007, we are allowed to put up a wind turbine, as long as it is within certain parameters. That is, no bigger than 6 meters across, at least 3 meters off the ground, not higher than 13 meters in total, and not too near the neighbours. Which sounds big, but really isn't very big at all compared to a real windmill, like this one in Dublin. So I've been wondering whether I could come up with something within those restrictions that would still be worth building. And this is what I came up with. Not that I've worked out all the details yet or anything, but it's a start. The sails can't be any bigger, so I'd need a walkway 3 meters up in the air to access them, which has been done many times before. And it needs a tower rather than a pole, of course, because the top rotates on a ring, as you know. That's because the central spinning shaft has to be in the centre, and that's exactly where the pivot point would normally be, of course. So the whole cap sits on an outer ring and can be rotated so the sails always face the wind, but that ring has to take all the weight, so it has to be supported all the way up from the ground, hence the tower. That tower could be straight-sided, but usually they taper for added stability, because there's a lot of vibration when the thing is running, and that taper means the sails have to be tipped back at an angle to accommodate the tower, and that means that the wind shaft and the brake wheel are also at an angle, even though that brake wheel is also the drive wheel and has to engage with the cogwheel on the vertical shaft, known as the wallower, apparently. So there's quite a lot to think about. Apart from finding a way to automatically rotate the whole cap on the ring gear somehow, and have a speed regulator and a brake, there are also bearings to work out for the wind shaft and the vertical shaft. Quite big bearings, I guess, as well as figuring out all the cogwheels. So lots of interesting challenges if I go ahead with the project. I do think a windmill like this could be very useful though, if it works. Not just for generating electricity or chopping up turnips, but perhaps for heating the house using friction alone. What a fascinating experiment that would be. So that's the idea. What do you think? The online calculators tell me that I'd be unlikely to generate more than a kilowatt of power on average. And I could buy an off-the-shelf turbine that could do that for a lot less money. But where's the fun in that? There's just something about this project that is very appealing, don't you think? How would I make all the parts? How would I build a round tower? How would I get the materials to the site? Surely I'd need some sort of railway for that. How would I raise the money to do it all? But wouldn't it be so exciting the very first time the sails start spinning? I think so anyway. My aim would be for high torque, low speed sails. So if anyone knows a good design for those, please let me know. And if you know of anyone who's already built one of these things, I'd appreciate a link. Otherwise, any wise words would be welcome. Also piles of money, obviously. That would be extra great. Thank you very much. Alright then, I'll go away now and dream of windmills. How about you?